Hello, everyone. It is Teresa from Teresa's Spot for Art, where I love sharing art from my heart and helping you create a little joy in your life through some fun, simple, and quick art projects. Welcome to Christmas Town. I want to thank our hosts, Monica from Up All Night DIY and Dawn from Shabby Meets Bling for coordinating this YouTube collab. Their links are in the description below, as well as the link for the playlist. If you could find some time to put the playlist on and subscribe and like everyone's DIY tutorials and mine as well, we would be greatly appreciative. This is what we are painting today, and I'm going to turn you guys around and we are going to get started. I have out a pre-traced 11 by 14 canvas. You can get some graphite paper and pre-trace your tracer onto your surface, or you can freehand it, totally up to you. I'm going to load my brush with some black, and then I'm going to paint the outside all around our Nutcracker. I'm going to try and be as careful as I can to not get paint where I don't want it. But if I do, it's okay. It is just acrylic paint, and you can, in fact, fix anything. So I'm going to come in here. I tend to paint the way I color. And so I'm going to do a little bit of outlining here first. And then I'm going to start to fill in with some paint. I'm using a 1/2-inch flat brush. When I load my brush with paint, I apply a little bit of pressure to the fibers so paint gets nice and up and in the bristles. I'm also gonna paint my edge while I am working on my background. You can paint your edges, you can leave your edges, you can paint them a different color. It's totally up to you. When I have to get into these spaces, I use my brush on the chisel edge, and this way I can make narrower strokes. I'm just coming down here. I'm doing a little bit more outlining on my chisel edge, and then just filling it in. Get around her skirt there. I'm going to make her a blondie, but if you wanted to, you can make her black hair, brown hair, ginger, whatever you want. It's your art. Totally your way. Even down at the bottom, her skirt is going to be red, but I'm going to paint the edge of the bottom here black as well. I want my entire edge of this wrapped canvas to be black. Sometimes I paint the edges of my canvas, whatever's on the front of my canvas. But in this case, I'm going to do the whole thing black. You don't have to get too jammed up about this background being perfect. We have a lot to add to it, and you're hardly going to see any of this black paint anyway. You could make this yellow back here, like her hair is behind her neck, or you can make it background. For some reason, this sample has it being background, so I'm going to stick with it being background. Just go right into my red. I'm going to use my dirty brush, and I'm going to start painting in the hat. It's okay that there's black in our paint because we were going to add a little bit of black to our paint anyway. And so now I'm saving that step. The top part of our hat is going to be gold there. Now, still using my dirty brush, I'm coming down here to the next stripe of red. If your black is not dry and you're pulling in a little bit of black into your hat, that is totally okay. If it gets to be a little too much black, then we're just going to come back and add some red to it. But you want a little dimension in here. You want a little texture. Then I'm going to come down here and do the rest of her red. Well, I have red on my brush of her uniform and her outfit. Again, it's okay if you still have a little bit of black on your brush. We don't usually want our paint and our colors to be, all one color anyway. Having a little shading and highlighting going on adds a little bit of depth and character to our painting. I'm doing her skirt, and then I'm going to do her belt as well, but I'm going to use a smaller brush for her belt. And again, I picked up some black there, and that's okay. When it dries, if we want it more red and less black, I will just go back in and pick up more red and less black. I'm going to wash my brush. And I had a smaller brush here. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush. And I'm just now going to paint in the belt. When I use my round brush, I will twist it between my thumb and my forefinger, so my bristles come together and my brush stays pointy. So I've done all the red. I've done the black background. Let me grab a Sharpie or a pen, and I'm just going to outline her eyes so I can paint over them and still be able to see them. And then her nose. I guess her eyebrows too. Well, I'll wait for that to dry. I'm going to go back to my round brush. I'm going to load it with the black paint, and I'm going to paint this part of her hat. So you can use the round brush or the liner brush, any size brush that you feel comfortable with. You don't want to use a brush that's too undersized, because then you will have a lot of brush strokes. With the black still, I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to do the best I can to paint around the vest. We will be able to fix some of this, but I'm just going in here now, and I'm filling in the basic shapes of her outfit. So I'm outlining, put in this little diamond shape in here in the middle, put in this little diamond shape in here in the middle, and then paint in around the rest of these designs and details on her outfit. And then we're going to do this part with black as well. Next up, I'm going to pick up some of this yellow and the white, and I'm going to just start filling in her hair. It's okay if your hair goes over the black a little bit. We're going to be adding some details to that as well. You just want it to look a little bit wispy. Some yellow, some white. And again, you can make her hair as dark or as light or as ginger or as black or gray or whatever color you want to make it. And every time I go back for my paint, I'm picking up yellow and white. Again, this is all just base coating. We're not going to be judging our project yet. We have a lot of details and other steps to go through. And so our painting is going to go through stages as we paint. I attribute it to painting in layers or making a pizza. You start at the bottom and then the next layer and the next layer. Our canvas is our crust or our dough. Then all our background is our sauce and our cheese. And then we get to the good stuff, which is the details, the highlighting and the shading, or in the case of the pizza, our toppings. And that's when we sit down to enjoy our pizza. So we're not going to judge until we get there. So I'm not even going to wash my brush. I'm going to go right into the gold paint. And I'm going to start up here. And I'm going to do the first gold band on the hat. I'm using my flat brush. It had the yellow on it, and then I loaded it with some gold, and I'm just squishing it and going back and forth. And I'm going to do the same thing. You want them to extend past the hat a little bit. And then last but not least, this line of the hat as well. Here my black was not completely dry. I'm okay with that. It added a bit of shading, and that's fine with me. And I can go back and add more gold to that if I want. I'm going to pick up some more gold paint, and I'm going to come in here. I'm going to do the tops of her jacket or her uniform, whatever you want to call it. And I put a little bit of that yellow paint in there, and it's helping me to get really nice coverage with my gold paint. Now I'm going to pick up some gold as well here, and I'm going to streak some through her hair. Not too much. So we have yellow and white and some gold going on in her hair. I have had a little bit of coral shell here. You can make your skin tone whatever color you want. I'm mixing it with some white. So I'm getting like a really pale, shellish, peachy color. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to do the face. I went over everything with Sharpie, so I would be able to see my eyes and not have to worry about when I'm painting in to go around any of these items. I can see my eyes, I can see my nose, and you can use whatever skin tone you want. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit of red. I'm going to add a little bit of red to some white over here. I'm just making a little circle. And I'm going to put in her cheeks. And I'm just swirling my brush in a circular motion. You can use a pouncer if you want. I'm going to put out some fresh white here because I contaminated my white up with my yellow. Well, the first thing I want to do is I want to paint in here part of her belt that I forgot before. Back to the fresh white. And now we're going to start adding in white to her uniform. I'm going to start down here. You want to make sure that your other paint is dry now. This way, when you come in here with your white, you're making nice, fresh lines and attempting to clean up anything that may not have been so straight the first time around when you were doing your base coating. Because I'm using my brush, I'm trying to be as careful as I can, and I'm cleaning up all these lines in here that may have not been so perfect when I painted them in the first time. I also want to come in here and base coat in now her eyes with some white. You can go over the Sharpie. You don't have to worry about painting within the Sharpie because we're going to go back over the eyes with black paint at the end when we do all our details. We just want a nice, fresh base coat of white for the first step of our eyes in here. I'm going to get my gold and we're going to start putting in our crisscrosses. I'm working my way right down the middle. Then I'm going to fill in these circles with some gold. And then we're going to come back in and we're going to put in a black center at the end. I put in the crisscrosses and now I'm just filling in all of these circles here with the gold. I'm going to come back up top here and fix some of this gold. And then if this got a little too shady in here, I'm just going to add a little bit of gold to that as well. I'm going to use the back of my brush, and I'm going to dip dot in some black on the inside of each of these circles. I'm going to take some black, and I'm going to add some black to the top of the shoulder pads that are part of the uniform. I'm going to add some black shading. I'm going to add some black to the belt. And I'm going to just add some black to the sleeves and the skirt. I'm going to add some black to the hat, to the hair, making the hair look a little bit more wispy with some black in it. Now I'm going to add some red in the middle of her jacket. I'm going to wash my brush. And then I'm going to go back to my fresh white. I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the black, but now I'm going to do it with some white. Adding in some highlight, adding in some to the arms, adding in a little bit to the skirt, the belt, highlight on the belt, adding a little bit into the hair. Now we're getting into the toppings, our pizza toppings. A little bit to the design on the front of her outfit, a little bit up here on the gold parts of the hat, and here on the black brim of the hat. So now while that's drying, we're going to go back to working on our face. So now I'm going to load my little brush, whichever small brush you're using, with some blue, and we're going to paint in some really big round pupils. Okay? And yes, they're big and round. This is a girl doll Nutcracker, and this is only step 2 of our eyes. So we're going to leave that to dry a little bit. Now you can make the lips as red or as pink as you want. I went straight for my red, and I'm going to paint in the lips with red. If you wanted to do them more pink, that's up to you. And I'm going to go back in to the larger brush here that I used at the beginning for the background. I'm just going to pick up a little bit of black. I'm almost going to wipe it off. So I'm going to pick up some black on my brush, but then I'm pretty much going to wipe it off. I'm going to come up here to the edges of the hat, and I'm going to dry brush in a little bit of shading to the outside of the hat. Now, if you want to practice this first, you can. Pick up some paint, wipe it off, and then come to your hat. You want them to curve a little bit, and you just want to dirty up, shadow up the top of the hat. Now we're going to do the same thing, but now we're going to start working on the outside of our painting with some white. So I'm going to load up my brush with white. I'm going to wipe it off, and I'm going to start painting in some white in the background. We want to leave about 1/4 of an inch of a halo around our Nutcracker. Okay? So I'm coming in here, I'm outlining the hair. I'm using this dry brush technique. I'm not doing full coverage. I'm just kind of like wiping on some dried paint, but I'm leaving up here about 1/4 of an inch around the whole thing. It makes this really cool halo effect. and you don't want to go right over your black paint, I'm almost like using a dry brush. I don't have enough paint, whatever it is. And I'm almost like cleaning off my brush on my painting. You want to be able to see the black, but you want to leave a nice halo. I'm going to do the same thing with the gold now. A nice halo around the entire painting. That nice black outline. And you can make this as thick or as thin as you want. Again, I'm picking up paint and then I'm wiping off the paint. And I did it with the white, and now I'm going back in and doing it with the gold. Keeping sure to keep this halo around your artwork. Okay, and I'm going to use the larger brush. And I'm going to add dots. And I'm making these dots a little bit bigger than they are with just the brush. It's not like a total dip dot. I'm actually drawing in a little bit of a circle. But again, it's easier to do it with the back of the brush than it is with the brush part. Your circles will be a lot neater and more uniform. And these are random. They're about the same size. And I'm just going around the whole thing. Then I'm going to use the back of my brush. I'm going to go into my black paint. And now I'm going to put in the third step of our eyes. And that's putting in this big black center. And I'm using the back of the brush to do this again. Starting out small, pick up some more paint. It's going to be hard to make them even. Try your best. But if you keep going, they're going to grow and grow and grow. And then you're not going to be happy with them at all. So we're going to let those dry now. And I'm going to go back to my liner brush. Okay, I'm going to pick up some black paint. We're going to do her nose. And we're going to do the eyebrows. Then we're going to do around the eyes. I'm starting thin on the inside and then getting a little thicker on the outside. So thin up here and then a little bit more pressure to my brush and thicker on the outside. Then we're just going to give her a few, 4, I guess, eyelashes. Okay, she's starting to come to life now. Isn't that cool? Eyes really make your project. Eyes are really where it's at. I want to come in here and I want to put a little V down here for the top of her outfit. Now I'm going to put a little bit of gold down here on her skirt. And connect. Put some dots. Want to add a little bit of highlight to her cheeks. A little bit of highlight to her lips. A little bit of highlight in the corners of the hat. Put a little bit down here, kind of like define where the hair is. Okay, I'm going to pick up a little bit of gold and now add in some gold on her outfit where we did the black and the white before. This is supposed to look a little messy. That is the beauty of this project. So try and embrace the abstract messiness of it, of being like a fun Nutcracker doll. Then if you want, we can put this design up here on the hat, which is just one big dot in the middle, and then a series of V's. So a V to the bottom, a V to the left, a V to the top, and then a V out to the right. And then each of those V's now gets a dot. And you can put this, you can leave it, you can put two, you can put polka dots, you can do whatever you want. Now these parts of the eyes, we did the white, we did the big blue, the blue in the same spot, the black is in the same spot. When we go in to add our white pupils, our pupils are either both going to be to the left or the right. They're not going to be even Steven like the rest of this was. Otherwise, she's going to look wonky and cockeyed. So if she's either looking to the right or straight or to the left. So I'm loading up the back of my brush with white. And I'm going to come in here and add in the highlight on one side. And then the highlight on the other side. And there we have it. Isn't she so cool? Let me turn you guys around. So here is our gorgeous Nutcracker girl. She's got the halo around her, a little bit abstract background going on. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I will see you next time.